Hidden deep in the forest lies a completely abandoned and secluded castle with a fascinating history. A place that captivated me so much, I had to explore it. All the stones that were used for this castle and that you can see over here are from the local mountain range. Also this one, Trachitov, which was mined at the Drachenfels and also used for the Cologne Dome, which is not too far away from this place. Going through here we can already see that the vegetation is recapturing everything, and we can also see that the gate might break down within the next couple of years. It already looks very fragile to me. The castle was probably built at the end of the 13th or at the beginning of the 14th century, and like a lot of times with these castles, it has changed the owner a lot of times throughout the centuries, until in 1633 it was destroyed in the 30-year wars. Later, at the beginning of the 19th century, a wine merchant bought it, who demolished the remaining parts of the castle, except for some parts of the keep. But let's take a look at the keep later, and first look at the overgate. So here we are at the overgate. Everywhere you are, you can see the decay of this castle, and all the stones that once belonged to the walls and buildings of the castle are just laying around everywhere. This is a very good example of it. But luckily the gate is still in a very good condition compared to the rest of the castle. And we can still see how it used to look back then. Going up over here we can see the keep to the right, and the only window which was originally in the castle, namely this one. All the other windows which you can see, oh actually the one below that over there, all the other windows were later added, but this was a very strategic position to add a window because archers could just shoot down possible invaders and intruders that might have broken through this wall and through this gate. But as you can see, it goes down very steep to each side of the castle. It's really crazy if you imagine this wall used to be a couple of meters high. Okay, I would say now let's take a look at the keep and the core part of the castle. Over here you can still see the remains of the gate that used to separate the outer parts from the core part. Okay, if we go to the entrance, we can still see that a chunk of stone was taken out of here. That was the coat of arms of the family Erzbeck. You could also see the year 1614 marked in there, but unfortunately somebody stole it. If we go inside, we can still see a lot of the interior parts like stairs and a lot of the work that was done with the interior development at the beginning of the 19th century. So this is not originally from the medieval ages. As we can see, sometimes people attempt to climb up here. I've already done that too, and I'm going to do that again to give you a better look. But what I think is really interesting is this little hole over here, which was actually dug by treasure hunters, which thought that there was a treasure hidden over here. As we can see, the walls on the ground are very thick, to be exact 2.5 meters thick. And if you go up, the walls become thinner and thinner because they obviously have to stand and hold less pressure and weight. The inner walls over here used to be 7 meters high. Nowadays they're about 3 meters in height, but it's really cool to imagine that these were more than twice as high. Okay, I've just climbed up here. I have to be a little bit careful because it's pretty slippy and it goes down a couple of meters, which is the maximum of how high I'm going to climb up because the other floors are extremely fragile. Now there are some ropes here, so I do think people have made it before, but it looks extremely dangerous to me, and I'm not going to do that. What I really like is that you can still see this blue design on the wall, especially here in the corner over there. And then over here we also have the only window frame which originally existed in this tower. You can look down on the outer parts of the wall and on the gate. Technically, of course, archers could shoot down here if somebody was at this gate, so it's a very strategic position, as I have said before. And you could also, back then, these trees didn't exist. None of the vegetation like this existed, so you could also shoot down all the way to the southern gate, which I showed you earlier. What I think is very interesting, how you can see the lame over here. If I go into this corner and look up, we can also still see a staircase with actual stairs. This is how far it goes down. Okay, I have climbed down and I'm going to grab my stuff now and then call it for the day, but not for the week, because this was just the first day of the entire castle week.